Hey, editing Sunny here. I had to split my Conception 101 video into two parts, and I don't have an intro for the second part. So, just as a quick recap, part one was how I got to making my decision on having a baby, how to prep my body, and then also getting into the details of getting off of BC and tracking my period, because that's all very important stuff. Oh, big stretch. What I'll be getting into for this video is how to actually track your ovulation window. And I used ovulation test strips, and I didn't even know those were a thing. So hopefully you will gain some insight from my experiences. And I also have some helpful tips and tricks I found as well for using those strips that you might find useful. And with that, let's get into the video because Sam is so unimpressed right now. Sorry, buddy. Bye. See you soon. Quick disclaimer before we start this video off. One, I'm not a medical professional, I'm not a doctor, so anything I say in that realm, please take with a grain of salt and go ahead and consult your actual physician or someone who's professional, not me. Number two, it would be just like a quick content or trigger warning. I'll be talking about like pregnancy, maybe a little bit TMI stuff. So if that's not for you, this video is probably not for you. Thirdly, if your family, my God, please stop watching because this will be a lot of sharing of how Nugget, which is what I call the baby inside of me, was conceived. So after I figured out what my baseline sort of cycle was, that's like what helped me determine what approximately my ovulation window was. So quick recap for those who fell asleep in sex ed, because I feel like I did. The ovulation window is the only time you can technically get pregnant because your egg drops. It like is viable for only 12 to 24 hours and you have to have some sperm in there like ready to go to meet and be friends, is the PG version, I suppose. I mean, other things to note is like sperm can live inside of you for like a few days. So I guess technically the window is a little bit bigger. Like you don't have to meet it right then and there, but do your own research. I highly advise it because I am butchering this. Anyways, for myself, I figured out my regular cycle was about like 28 days. It took about like 3 cycles for me to figure out. The first one was so weird. It was too short. The second one seemed a little bit more in the range of normal. And then the third one matched my second cycle. So I assumed that this was it. This is my new norm. And yeah, then I started using my ovulation test kit. So what I did was I bought these Easy Home test kit things from Amazon, super cheap, got here really fast. It has 50 LH strips and 20 HCG tests. So the LH test strips are the ones that measure, that help you track your ovulation, and then the HCG tests are the ones that are essentially your pregnancy test. So it's the whole package, the cycle for trying to conceive. I would say it's a pretty good deal. And remember how I mentioned that I use the Premom app to track my cycles? It like works really well with these strips because there's a thing on the app that takes a photo of the strips and then is able to tell you like the LH levels. I will get into that. So just to backtrack here, in order to track like your ovulation, the test strips really help because the LH test strips actually measure the LH in your body using your pee. And what that means is when this hormone, I guess, like peaks, it means you're gonna be ovulating in the next like 12 to 24 hours. So yeah, I mean, that's what I used. So I found out my cycle was about like 28 days and you ovulate around midpoint. So for me, that was 14 days and you're technically supposed to start using or like tracking your LH levels a few days before that. So I was on like day 10 of my cycle and then I started using these ovulation test strips. So quick tutorial on how to use it would be, number one, download the Premom app if you're using the Easy Home test kit that I'm using because I found it really, really helpful. And then number two, obviously have the strip and then have like one of those like Dixie cup, like the plastic Dixie cup shot glasses, because you need something to pee in because you got to dip the strip into something. And so yeah, the next thing would be on day 10 for myself, I started testing at the exact same time every single day. And I made sure not to pee or drink anything for the 2-hour windows before I started testing. And it's advised that you actually take the test around like noon, between like the hours of noon and like 8 p.m. I think it was. I picked noon because it lined up really nicely with my lunch hour. So that's what I was doing during lunch every single day. TMI, but that is what was happening. So essentially what you do is you pee in the cup. You take one of these little strip guys, read your own instructions because they could be different. But for me, I peed in a cup, I took the strip, I dipped it in the pee up until the line, and then it's gonna like suck up the pee essentially all the way up here in the test window. And in the test window, there's 2 lines. The one line here is like the one that's already there, or you see right away, is the control line, and then you have a test line. So that's the line that's like measuring the LH levels inside of your body at that time, or like in your pee at that time. And then you let the pee stick dry for however long it says. And then I took it to the window, and then I used my phone, used the app, scanned it, and then it would tell me like an LH ratio. And essentially what that indicates is, well, like how much I guess LH is in your body compared to the control line. So you can start measuring it, and it tracks it in like a chart for you, and you can see it start rising as you're getting closer to your ovulation, And then it even tells you when it thinks you've peaked. So I think this is when, I mean, I could totally be wrong, but I think this is when your test line is actually darker than the control line. And then it tells you like, hey, you actually have enough LH in your body to indicate a peak here. So you're gonna ovulate in the next 12 to 24 hours. So for me, I saw the peak and I was like, yeah, it's go time, let's do this. And then we were able to, yeah, and then that was it. It took me 1 cycle, which was like, I'm grateful and so surprised about. And then, yeah, that's how Nugget became. Hopefully Nugget will never see these because it's horrifying on all fronts, I'm sure. Yeah, I mean, that was it. That was how I figured out what my cycle was, what my ovulation window was, and I took advantage of that and was able to get pregnant. Okay, well, if you were able to stick around for the whole video, I appreciate it. Hopefully you were able to learn something from this, or found it interesting or mildly entertaining. It was a little more educational than I had anticipated. But yeah, my next video was definitely going to be more focused on like the 2-week wait period between like conception and when you pee on that stick that says like, hey girl, you're pregnant. Yeah, so I'll be talking about that, and then kind of like what to do after you figure out you're pregnant, because it's like you wait and you wait and you wait, and then you take the test, it says you're pregnant, and you're like, holy shit, now what? I'll tell you my what after I ask myself that question, because yeah, we'll get into it. I mean, it wasn't too crazy, but hopefully you'll find it more, just as informative or more than this one. Anyways, I'm rambling again, but thanks for sticking around, and I hope to catch you in my next video. Bye!